Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another live stream with me on this Mortgage Boss Talk Tuesday. I hope everyone is doing well and you've had a great start to your week. I wanted to make sure that I continue to show up. Y'all do not know sometimes, it can feel a little bit challenging to make sure you're fitting in everything into your day that you're trying to and all of the things, but I am here, and that's the most important thing. And so, what are we talking about today? Well, oh, before I get to that, welcome back. If you've already been here before, welcome. If this is your first time, as you come in, please make sure that you are hitting the like button and make sure that you subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, I need some subscribers. So, hopefully, you'll find this will be a very educational live stream today. Y'all, I actually want to talk to you all about if it's expensive to live in the Queen City. So, if you've been here before, you've seen my videos before, y'all, I have talked about the fact that I have grown up in Charlotte. And quite frankly, I used to be a teacher, and I've said over and over again, I never thought I'd live to see the day where a teacher could not purchase a home in Charlotte. And it's very, very disheartening. But, you know, I've gone through the home buying process a couple of times and I bought at different price points. And I will tell you, it's a struggle. It is definitely a struggle. But I actually saw an article that I wanted to kind of frame the conversation around and really get down into exactly how much does it cost to live in Charlotte? What kind of money do you need to make to live in the Queen City? Now, Charlotte is a rapidly growing city. When I was born, there was about 3 or 4 buildings uptown. I think they built the largest or the tallest building back in like 1991, 1992, which was the Bank of America building. So that was like our very first skyscraper. And now it's hotels all over the place, Ritz Carlton, the Westin. There are five-star restaurants uptown. There is nightlife uptown because it didn't even exist when I was in high school. And I graduated high school in 2001. So things are rapidly changing. But as I try to get people prepared for home ownership, I do the very best that I can to have some really crucial come to Jesus talks with people. And I post a lot of information on my Instagram page. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, please follow me. It is the underscore mortgage underscore boss, BAWSE over there. And sometimes I post things and people are like, you discouraging people from buying houses. And I'm like, am I? Is the truth discouraging? Because it's not meant to be. And so this article that I'm going to share with you was concerning because it says that, millennials, which I'm a millennial, I was at the beginning, but I got in there. I'm a millennial, and it's saying that, 2023 home buyer report shows that 81% of the people that purchased homes are, oh my gosh, can I not show it? Hang on. I can't show it. Are you telling me this for real? I'm sad because I have a lot of things I need to show y'all. I thought I fixed this. Um, let's see here. I'm struggling. I'm sorry. I'm struggle streaming, y'all. I'm gonna get a hang of this. I promise you I am. Um, oh my gosh, I have so many things. Well, whatever. Well, I'll edit the screens in when I go back to edit and chop this up. So sorry. But according to this article, it was on a news channel in Houston. They said that 2023 home buyer report shows that 81% of millennial first-time home buyers have home buyers regret. Well, that's not a surprise, right? There's nothing that is shocking about that. I remember when I was purchasing my home back in 2017 as a loan officer. At the time, I was living in a townhome and I was renting it, and my rent was $12.50 a month, and it included a washer and dryer. And I remember saying to my friends, like, oh my gosh, like I like my life just like this. I like my life just like this. I don't want anything to change. Things are good. I didn't want to increase my payments too much. All of the things that people go through when they're trying to buy a house. I looked at NACA. I looked at all type of different opportunities to try to get a free house, right? And I quickly realized that that was not going to work out for me. Well, I'll tell you, my thing was, okay, well, if I want my mortgage payment to be $12.50, I ended up realizing that that was not going to give me the house that I really wanted to live in. And so what happened was I started realizing that I was going to have to go up in my budget. And praise God, whom all blessings flow. I did have some flexibility in my budget. But like I said, this was in 2017. And so things were on an incline because the very, very bottom of the market, in case you don't know, was in 2012. So things were starting to climb. And I did end up getting my house, but I felt some angst. I'll tell you that. And so I want to share this article with you and then tell you a little bit about what my personal opinions are about why I think that so many people are having regrets. I actually did a video on this, and I'll make sure that I include it somewhere in here on the replay. But I actually did a video about this last year that talked about some of the reasons why people regret purchasing their home. But, basically 8 out of 10 millennials are saying that, it became a nightmare to them. And so it's very unfortunate because when you purchase a home, it's supposed to be something that you are supposed to be excited about. But the number one complaint is what? The interest rate. Now, granted, a lot of people don't realize historically, if you average all of these years, like the last 30 years or so of mortgage, 7% is average. We came all the way down from, 18% interest rates in the 80s when I was born under Ronald Reagan, all the way down to rates in the twos, you know, almost 40 years later. So based on that trajectory, I think it's safe to say that, 2, 3, 4% is not the norm. And the only reason why the rates were as low as they were was because, we were having to dig our way out of the housing crash, which we're not technically set up to have a housing crash. I do want to go ahead and get that out there before we go too far. But people are very concerned that they got a really, really high interest rate. It says here, when you look at a mortgage rate on a $300,000 house at a 3 or 4% interest rate, then to a 6 or 7% interest rate, you're looking at double the payment than what people thought it was going to be, which is huge. And I ain't gonna lie, it is a lot. And it's unfortunate, but it's where we are, and it's literally nothing that we can do about that. The second biggest complaint from millennial home buyers is they say that they don't know enough about home buying. I sit through a lot of different workshops and I attend a lot of different seminars and things like that. And I thought this was very interesting because the number one and two ways that people that are millennials specifically find out about home buying is Instagram and YouTube. So I'm confused. How do y'all not know about steps to home buying? I literally can't get away from it, and I realize it's in my algorithm, but I don't understand that. There are home buyer seminars, first-time home buyer seminars that people do all of the time. Most of the time, it's going to be a realtor paired up with a loan officer. There are TikToks, which I mean, I gotta take that with a grain of salt. Some information is a little clickbaitish. TikTok is out there, which is quickly becoming one of the top search engines, over Google. We're talking about YouTube, which gives you long form content in case you want to put some meat on the bones of something you may have heard on TikTok or on one of the reels on Instagram. So I'm struggling to believe that millennials, like when I was in the eighth grade, we had to take a computer literacy test. Like we were born into the internet. Like it's on your phone. So I'm really struggling with that. But apparently we need to do a better job in the industry of educating home buyers because they're saying that they just do not have enough information to make the decision of a lifetime on purchasing, $300,000, $400,000 properties. So that's, I don't know. I'm struggling with it. I'm finding that very hard to believe. But so if you have friends and family that's looking to purchase a home, please feel free to share my information with them so that this is not their story as they go out into the marketplace. I will share with you some of the reasons that I think that people aren't really, in a position to be happy about their purchase and they're having regrets. And I made a couple of notes here, just some of the big things that I always hear and I talk to people about. Why are people struggling, with wrapping their heads around, oh my gosh, I'm buying a $300,000 house out the gate. They're buying at the top of their budget. That's one big thing, in my opinion, that they're buying at the top of their budget, which is something that I had to do. I went from thinking that, okay, I'll get like a $200,000 house, which apparently everybody feels they want to get a $200,000 house. Totally normal. But I ended up going almost $100,000 over that. And so it worked out, but I talk to people all the time and they're buying at the top of their budget because it becomes emotional. They start out saying that they want one payment, and inevitably what happens? They end up, well, can I get a little more? Can I pay a little bit more? I want a little bit more. The next thing that I realized is that people assume that down payment assistance is going to lower their purchase, well, not the purchase price, but their payment. I've noticed that there was some sort of synonymous, something people are thinking that's synonymous is just, quite frankly, it is not. They'll say, oh, well, I want my payment to be $1,700. And then when I come back and I say something like, oh, no, it's going to be $2,650. They're like, wait, well, can I get down payment assistance? Down payment assistance does not change the payment. Down payment assistance change the payment this much. It just gives you access to get into the house without saving up as much money. That's a big thing that I think that people start to have some regret, that pours into that regret. And then lastly, I think the anticipated cost. I'm telling you, whenever I talk to people, I'd say all types of things to make sure that they are very clear about what it is that they're about to get themselves into, especially when I look and I see that they're not uh, necessarily the most financially responsible. If someone is telling me up front that they're thinking about purchasing a vehicle, we have to have a very serious come to Jesus conversation. If somebody is telling me, well, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know, I'm buying the house because it's cheaper to rent, we have to have a very serious conversation every single time. It's just a lot of different reasons. I don't know. My conversations are probably a little bit different than most. And I will be very honest. I go out of my way to make sure that I'm providing what I would consider to be a thorough home buyer's education, even one on one. And sometimes people walk away from the situation and they're like, well, oh my gosh, I didn't know all of this. Thank you. Let me go, get prepared. And then sometimes people are like, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you telling me this. You kept it real with me. I'm ready to go. And they move forward and they go through the process without any problems. So it can go either way. But those are some of the reasons why I personally think that people are starting to have some regrets as far as home buying is concerned. Now, the big thing that I thought was very interesting is that 90% of homeowners, and again, I'll link the article since I can't display them. Sorry about that. But 90% of the home buyers did not realize how expensive it would be to own the home. And then there's a list of things here that says, what some of those things are. My very first question to anyone that wants to apply for a loan, I always start out with, why do you want to buy a house? I'll say something like, oh man, this is great. I'm so excited for you. So like tell me why are you looking to get into this crazy market? I mean, the rates are high, things are expensive. Why you want to buy a house? And I kid you not, probably 7 out of 10 times, people will say, well, I'm throwing my money away in rent, followed up by, oh, well, it's just cheaper to buy than to rent, which is an absolute fallacy. Um, in the long term, maybe because you're not subjected to your rent increasing. But if you're talking about exchanging dollar for dollar, if, like I said, your rent is $12.50 and you think you're getting ready to go and get you a 4-bedroom house for $12.50 because that is considered cheaper, you are sadly mistaken. One, that payment is not going to happen with rates where they are currently, unless you are putting down a significant down payment. But two, there are other things that you got to factor in that, again, when I look at these credit reports and somebody wants to apply for a $300,000 loan, they're like, oh, I can pay $2,000 a month in rent. They make $4,000. We have a problem because there's no room for anything else. Because when we calculate your debt ratio, it's based off of your gross monthly income. So, being that I have gone through this and I understand some of the unexpected costs, let me show you or tell you a few of these that are on here. One, property taxes. I just talked about that. I actually have a video. I talked about it last week. In Mecklenburg County, where I live, we just got our new property valuations that says, these home values have gone up in the last few years. And alongside that will likely be a new tax bill. This is a big, big, big payment shock factor when people purchase new construction. People don't think about the fact that sometimes a lender may, depending on where you go, approve you with the property taxes just on the land. And then that following year, when they put the whole property taxes on the entire property, including the actual property that you are staying in, your actual home, it goes up a couple $100s a month, and everybody might not be able to withstand a couple $100 difference. The other thing is, renovations. Oh, I want a fixer upper because they think that's going to be cheaper. A fixer upper costs a lot of money. Renovations cost a lot of money. Repairs cost a lot of money. So you have to be prepared in knowing, well, how much money do you really seriously have? Do you have a kid that you have to pay for daycare? Do you have a child in football? What are the factors that are going into you having to make renovations, and how much money do you have to actually be going towards those renovations that you're hoping for? Another reason, utilities. You get water bill. I don't even want to talk to you about how much my water bill is in the summertime, because I have to have my sprinkler system going because my grass is a mess. My grass has been a mess, by the way, since I moved here. I don't know if it's the dirt. I don't know what the problem is, but that's another expense. Lawn care. It's all types of expenses. There's roof work that may need to be done if you get an older house. That was why I went with new construction, because I didn't want old house problems. Maintaining the home's appearance. I can tell you my shutters on my house is 5 years old, is weather beaten. I need to get them painted. I have to get my house pressure washed. I get it washed, every year, just because of the way that the sun hits my house. I get a lot of moisture in the back. That's, a couple $100 every year. There's just, the grass, the lawn, the maintenance. Do you want to put up decorations, at Christmas time? Do you want to have Halloween decorations? That is maintaining the home's appearance, especially if you live in an HOA community. That is a big deal. You just can't, be parking your cars on the lawn. It's just, there are things that you have to do. You might want a fence, or you might need a fence because you have a dog or a small child. People don't factor in the fact that a fence can cost you $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. It is expensive to own a house. And these are things, like I said, that people just do not consider. The other thing is the homeowner's insurance, the appliance repairs. upgrading your appliances. You might not like the package that you got with your builder. You might not like the fact that you have a 10-year-old refrigerator. It could go out at any given time and you have to go and spend, $2,000 or $3,000 for another one. I was shocked to find out how much refrigerators were when I first purchased my home. HVAC, yard work, home cleaning, foundation repairs, HOA fees. All of these are things that people said they did not expect. Aside from mortgages, homeowners say they pay an extra $17,459 in annual expenses on average. So, y'all, this is not anything to play around with. When you are talking about entering into home ownership, it can cost you significantly more than you initially thought that it would cost you. Okay. So that leads me into my hot topic. I live in Charlotte. A lot of people want to move to Charlotte. Like I said, we have a lot of companies that are coming here. People are moving because, during the pandemic, people were able to work remotely. It was just a lot of different factors that has, really exploded the growth of Charlotte and the surrounding areas. So I was able to pull up some numbers. And I will, again, in the replay, I will make sure that I edit this information in for you. I'm really sorry that I can't show this to you. But according to Canopy, which is the Realtor Association, so they track all of the data for all of the sales that happen in Mecklenburg County and some surrounding counties like Alexander, Cabarrus, Gaston County, some of the popular counties that people like to go and move to. They compare data month to month and year to year. So if you would like to move to Charlotte, let's quickly unpack what that might look like. So I have my calculator here because I want you to really understand how much money do you need to make? Like, can you move to Charlotte if you make $45,000 a year? Can you really live in Charlotte if you make $75,000 a year? Can you really live in Charlotte if you make $120,000 a year, right? Different price points. But we're going to talk about just the average real quick. So on average, the average sales price in February 2023 for the entire region that I told you was $421,867. That was the average. The median was $353,550. And I also want to point out that it's going up. This is up 3% or 3.7% year over year. But $421,000. I can tell you now, with just some really just rough math, that you're going to be talking about a mortgage payment over, $3,000 a month when you factor in the principal, interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and mortgage insurance. If you're only going to be putting down 3% or only going to be putting down 5%, a $421,000 home is going to quickly take you over $3,000 a month. And I mean, really, it's probably going to be closer to like 32, something like that. I didn't run the numbers before I started this, but I just want to start out there. So let's say you live in Charlotte or surrounding areas and you purchase your home. You're in your home, okay? We approved you for this loan. Now, how much money do you need to make to have a payment like this? If the payment is $3,200 a month, I'm going to say at just a bare minimum, you want to take that and you're going to double it. $6,400 a month, which is about $76,000 a year. That's just for you to get into the house today, in today's market. Okay. Now that can be divided up amongst multiple people, one person, whatever it is, but that's roughly where the bare starting point is going to be. But guess what? Usually, people are not just coming into the situation with absolutely no mortgage payment. I mean, no bills at all. Usually, when we get into this situation, we're looking to purchase a home with 32, 33 years old, 34 years old, because that is the average age that a first time home buyer is when they enter the market. You're like, oh, well, I pay $2,000 in rent. I can get a $3,000 mortgage too. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Let's find out. You're probably not factoring in that you have a student loan payment. Well, because we know that we have banks here, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Fifth Third is growing, Ally is a major employer here. We have the Charlotte Mecklenburg school system, we have Duke Energy, we have Lowe's. There are tons and tons and tons and tons of companies that are attracting and bringing in new employees. We have Amazon, all kind of companies. Well, y'all, you probably have student loans if you work what's considered to be like a white collar job. So let's just, for the sake of conversation, let's say you owe $40,000 in student loans, which I'm going to tell you that's kind of low. Well, if you're not currently making a student loan payment, we're going to take 0.5% of that to determine whether or not what your payment is going to be. So that's $200. This is just for qualifying. I haven't even gotten into real life yet. And then we're going to go ahead and let's factor in something else. Let's assume that you have a car payment as well. Well, recently we learned that a car payment average is about $700. I think it was like $715 or something like that. So we're going to add a $700 car payment in here too, because we got to have a car to drive around. Because I'll be honest with you, if you're looking to move to Charlotte, our transit is trash. You need a car to get around, or you'll never get to your destination. So $700 car payment, $200 in student loans. What else might we have? Maybe credit cards. So let's say we have $200 a month in credit card debt. Okay, these are all of the numbers that we have to factor in whenever we're going to qualify you for a home. So let's go ahead and add it up and see how much money do you need to make to have this life with your $700 car payment, your $200 student loans, and your $200 credit card debt. Because I'm telling you, everybody comes in with some type of debt most often than not. Okay, so that's going to be $4,300 a month in debt. What did I say, dude? Times it by 2. How much money does somebody need to earn just to get into the house? $8,600 a month. How much money is that? $103,200 per year. Now, again, this is what I just gave you was an outline of, your qualifying numbers that we use, but we have not factored in some things. So let's keep going. $3,200 for your payment, $200 for your student loans, $700 for your car payment, $200 for your credit cards. Let's see, what else do we need to live? Lights, gas bill, cell phone bill, cable bill. Let's just go ahead and say that every month your regular household bills, because you own a house now. Let's say that your average household bills are $700 a month, $600. Let's say $600 a month. It's probably more, but let's say $600 a month. Okay, we got bills. We haven't eaten yet. We need to eat. It costs quite a bit to have your monthly grocery bill. Or if you want to eat out, we have some really nice restaurants in Charlotte. You might want to go out with your homegirls, $150 a weekend. I mean, you could let the boys pick up the drinks, but you know what I'm saying, girl. You feel me? But, let's say you go out every weekend, or every other weekend. You want to have a budget for that. So let's budget in fun. How much is fun? How much is fun? Because I be seeing y'all at Dubai. How much do it cost to go to Dubai? Anybody tell me. Oh, hey, people that's watching, thank you so much for tuning in. How much does it cost to go to Dubai? How much does it cost to go on a cruise? How much does it cost to go to Africa? How much does it cost? Because I be seeing y'all on the Instagram all the time. So let's just say just basic fun. You're not going anywhere. You're going to a restaurant once a month. You got to get some clothes and outfit and all of that, right? So just for fun, let's say we spend $500 a month on fun. Okay, that's about $125 a weekend. If you anything like me, I mean, you spend $100 going outside. I spent $50 getting gas, taking my son to football practice earlier. Okay. Oh, I forgot. We got to gas up the car too. That's another $400 a month, right? $400 a month for that. We haven't eaten like at home yet. So let's throw in another, I don't know how much, another what? $600 for groceries. Okay, so now we have food, gas, fun, in the house bills. We got student loans, car payments, everything just to live in Charlotte. Okay, so we got 3,200, 200, 700, 200 in credit cards. We have $600 in bills. We got $500 for fun, because sometimes we're going to go to the fun before we go to the bills. You know what I'm saying? We keep it real over here. I tell you, I do real estate advice for real people going through real life, so I understand. But okay. All right. So for fun, and another $400 a month for your gas to put in the car so you can get around from point A to point B, and another $600 a month so you can have groceries. I haven't factored in your daycare bill for your baby or your after school bill. We are assuming that you don't have any children that require any additional child care. But we total all of that up for somebody to live in Charlotte and do all of those things. That's $6,400 a month in bills. If you are going to really, truly live, going to the restaurants, going to the theater, going to partake in the arts, going to, just all of the different shows. I don't know what comes through here. Comedy shows, concerts. Y'all know Beyonce, she's on her way. She'll be here. This is like $6,400 a month. As a homeowner now, you're not renting. I did not factor in any of those miscellaneous costs that I talked about a little bit earlier. This is bare bones. Just, I'm living my life. So if you go into your situation understanding, oh God, like if I'm buying a $21,000 house, Jesus Christ, if I'm going to get myself into a situation where my mortgage is over $3,000 a month, oh my Lord. If I'm going to do that, I need to factor in everything, my real life. Earlier, I said it. When I talk to people, they buy at the top of their budget and they assume, oh, well, I mean, I'll be fine. Oh, well, I already paid $3,000 in rent. I already paid $2,000 in rent. They're not factoring in everything. Nowhere remotely close to everything. I didn't even factor in everything. I can't wait to get off this live and be like, dang it, I forgot to say this. $6,400 a month in bills. Now, it might be you. It might be you and your boo or your bae or whoever. I don't know. But to really, truly live your life, I'm going to multiply this times 2. $6,400 times 2. Because we want to be comfortable. That's $12,800 a month. Now, like I said, I'm including stuff that the lender, we don't care nothing about your personal bills. We don't care about your gas bill. We don't care about you, paying extra to watch Stars so you can watch Power and BMF. We don't care anything, about making sure that you eat every day. That's not our business. That is your problem when you sign on the dotted line. So I'm sharing this because I don't want people to have regret. I want us to go into home ownership and flourish and thrive and go and be great. $12,800. And like I said, they don't even include no baby. And you ain't even been to Dubai yet. I ain't never been to Dubai. I don't know. I'm hating. I'm hating. I ain't gonna lie, for real. You ain't bought your weave. You ain't got your Brazilian hair yet. Black women, y'all know we spend a good $400 a month sometimes on some hairstyles, okay? Y'all know I ain't lying. It's about to be braid season. These braiders getting expensive. But that's neither here nor there. The point of the story that I'm telling you is I just added up life. You ain't even got no clothes and no shoes. Girl, you ain't even been to Louis Vuitton to get your bag. I'm saying we got to start considering the big picture. If it is just you and you want to live your best life and you want to, stun on everybody and, eat hot dogs every night, that's fine. If you don't have any other debts or anything like that, then we may seriously be talking about you only needing to earn about $6,000 a month, between $6,000 and $7,000 a month. Okay. And that's just, like I said, me taking a $3,200 payment and doubling it. But if you already coming in, you got some debt, you got a car you want to buy or lease, you got credit cards because you're gonna run up your credit cards on stuff. You want to eat out with your homegirls, all of that. Oh my God, you ain't even bought furniture yet. You didn't save, you ain't put money in your 401k yet. None of that. And I'm telling you, I took all of that and I just doubled it. $12,800. And like I said, I'm just gauging it, saying that's comfortable. These are your living expenses. And if you look at any chart that tells you how much you should pay for stuff to budget your life, it is going to say, your living expenses, your life pretty much is 50%. So that could be you and your bae or your boo. You make 6,000, they make 6,000. You come together, you got your $12,000 and you can have your house. I've said this before. You do not go and you spend $1,700 in rent. He or she spends $1,700 in rent, and you come together and you thinking that you're getting a 4-bedroom house for $1,700 a month. That is not realistic. And so I say that to say this entire message is, if you want to live in a major city like Charlotte, like a Houston, like a Dallas, oh God, I don't even want to think about Miami, and Atlanta, these are real numbers. So when you start to think about it, I want you to think very critically, like, who am I splitting this debt with? Do they have it? If we, aren't married and we break up, do I have it on my own? It costs a lot of money. It costs a lot, and the money goes quick. But again, my point was, I don't want anybody to misunderstand how much it costs to actually live a real life, because you want to be able to take part in the city. You want to enjoy the city. Oh my God, you ain't even been to the Hornets games yet. We ain't been to the Hornets games. We ain't seen the Carolina Panthers, because it's a major city, y'all. We got NFL and NBA. None of that. I think we got a soccer team too. I haven't been, but I'm assuming that costs a decent amount of money to go to the soccer field, stadium. All of that. So know before you buy. Think about the expenses. Write them out. Talk about them. I do have a couple questions that I want to get in here if I can, really quick. What do I do with my questions? Oh, it's on my phone. On my IG, I ask people to, just tell me their questions. And then sometimes I pull questions just from general conversations I've had throughout the week. So here is one of my questions. Hello, Mrs. CKB. How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Oh, thank you so much. Out here trucking. Shout out. I appreciate you. He says $50 for the struggle stream. I'll catch the replay. Thank you. I'll get it together. I'll insert the articles and the pictures of what I was talking about because I'm struggling for real. So okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that cash out. All right. Let me try and wrap this up so I can get my baby from football. Also, if you want to email me or anything like that, the link, my contact information to my website, all of that information is below. If you would like to talk about your particular scenario, I'm licensed in multiple states. I'm licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and the list goes on. Texas, Georgia, pretty much the whole South. So I love to talk to you and kind of go through this with you. All right. So somebody was like, why are FHA closing costs so high? Um, FHA closing costs are higher than conventional loan closing costs to offset the risk because the investor is taking on more of a risk with an FHA borrower because there's some assumptions that's there. FHA is designed for a borrower that has bruised credit or damaged credit, meaning you've had a recent foreclosure, you may have had a recent bankruptcy, and you want to buy a house before the standard conventional waiting period of 7 years. So they're like, okay, you could buy a house. Come on, but you're gonna pay for it. Another reason why the FHA loan closing costs are so high is that we have upfront mortgage insurance premium, which takes whatever your loan amount is. So you have your purchase price. Let's say it's $421,000. We'll take out your 3.5%, which is what your required down payment is going to be. And then what we end up doing is we add on top of that 1.75% in upfront mortgage insurance premium. And basically that money goes into a fund so that in the event there is a significant shift in the market where, you know, we have foreclosures and things left and right, that the bank is going to be able to recover and we're not going to end up in a scenario like we had the last time. So in the example that I just gave you, if the house was $421,000 and you did 3.5% down, you would have a loan amount of $413,000. So that's a part of why it's a little bit more expensive because of those two factors. And then one part of closing costs that people don't ever think about is whenever you get an FHA loan, you get mortgage insurance is for the life of the loan. Now we have recently reduced that monthly mortgage insurance, but it's still going to require you to pay closing costs again to refinance. And so that's something that people don't consider if you want to get out of an FHA and into a conventional loan. So by the time you add all of that up, you're absolutely correct. It is a lot more expensive. I'm not sure if you covered it, but what effect, if any, does these banking crisis have over the market? It will definitely have an impact on the market. Um, I talked about it in my last stream, and I think I chopped it up, but just real quick, and then I'll try to insert it in my replay. Um, a lot of these smaller banks, like credit unions, like if you go and you Google, you know, other banks that are at risk, it's a list of like 200 banks, and they may be struggling financially. And in order to make sure that they have enough liquidity, is what it's called effectively, they may start to pull back on some of the products that they offer. For example, there is a bank here that's a credit union. Actually, this goes along perfectly with a question that somebody asked. It was like, what is the best bank to get a home loan? So here in Charlotte, as well as other cities, you have credit unions. Credit unions, they just basically they use their own money to lend out. They don't sell things on the secondary market traditionally. And so they come up with their own rules. So you may find that if you're a first time home buyer, I'm gonna just straight up tell you, if I look at your credit report and you are here in Charlotte and you have an account with the state employees credit union, I'm just go ahead and be like, you know what? Let's go ahead and break up now, because they can do a loan with no money down and no mortgage insurance. And when you start talking about affordability, that's a big deal. When you start talking about affordability and needing to qualify for more, that's going to very much work in your favor. So what I think the impact of this is going to be is the fact that some of these banks are going to start to pull back on some of these loan products that are a little bit more risky. They may find that they're like, "Ugh, I don't really know if we want to start giving people loans with no mortgage insurance. Like, what if we don't get our money back?" So I think they're going to start to do things to shore up their assets and make sure that they are not putting themselves in a bad situation, and monitoring the way that they have their investments. Michael Mack, definitely be hitting you up. You keep it real, and that's needed and appreciated. I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you so much. Because I don't know if you heard me when I first started. I was saying that, people are like on Instagram, they're like, well, Joy, why you discouraging people? I'm not discouraging anybody. Like, you see, 90% of the people that bought houses, they upset because they didn't know how much it cost in real life. Like, it's a flex to buy a house right now. Like, forget all them Birkin bags that y'all been talking about on Instagram. Buy a house with an 8% interest rate. That's the flex in 2023. For real, I'm not playing. But yeah, it costs money. It absolutely takes money. So I don't want anybody to think that it does not. So I kind of answered two questions there. Thank you. I'll do a couple more. So, how do you get a home with low income? Um, well, a lot of people don't realize if you receive public assistance, if you receive any type of housing vouchers, things like that, we can look at that for income. That can be included for income. People can purchase homes using housing vouchers. A lot of people don't realize that. And it is absolutely fact based. You can Google it. This is Googleable information. I can't be on the internet telling y'all lies. Okay. So that's one thing if you are, quote unquote, low income. But in 2023, I don't even know what to call low income at this point. I just told y'all you need 100, what I say, $112,000, something like what I say. How much? I don't know. Yeah, 100 and what I say, 12. You need $12,000 a month to just live like and move and shake around the city and own a house. And that's just based up off some made up bills. So I don't even know what's low income, honestly. I mean, I honestly would have thought 60,000, 70,000 was an amazing income. But when you start factoring in, like I said, 300, $400,000 houses, it's hard. And I also, God, I really need y'all to see this, but I always tell people to go and Google or go on Zillow and put in the price point of the house that you want. Like if you want a $200,000 home, okay, if you want your payment to be like $1,700 a month and you want a $200,000 house, according to Zillow in the Charlotte area, not the entire counties, not the surrounding counties like I was talking about before, but we got 162 houses for between $200,000 and $300,000. So I don't know. I don't know what low income is at this point when it comes to the housing market. And it is heartbreaking to say that. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because most people are not going to earn $6,000, $7,000 a month by themselves. But you have to consider, going in on the loan with someone else and thinking about, like I said, your child care and all of those things so you can live comfortably. But if you are considered low income, the USDA loan is a big loan that you could get that is designed specifically for low to moderate income buyers in rural areas. What I find is don't nobody want to live in a rural area. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I can't solve all your problems. I can offer what I can offer. Um, if I can really keep it 100 though, and I want to, if I could just be really, really like completely honest, I get kind of frustrated when I'm scrolling down my Instagram feed and I see black realtors continuing to be like, I get down payment assistance. Oh, y'all, black people are not poor. So I don't think that this is discouraging at all. I think what this should be is like, oh, okay, cool. Let me just reset my mindset real quick to be like, okay, I make $5,000 a month. I can go find another job where I'm making 1,000 more a month. You know, like you can build up skill sets to increase your income. People do it all the time. I had to do it. So I want to be like so clear when we're starting to talk about these numbers. People are buying these houses and they're not slowing down. They are not stopping. They're going to keep buying these houses. I talked to a teacher today. Today, he teaches high school and he made $6,500, $6,700 a month, something like that. He lives in a house currently, right now, that he took out a mortgage on, paid the mortgage off in 5 years. I don't know. I'm not going to give the details on how and why, but he's looking to purchase another house, buying multiple houses. It can absolutely be done. We just have to reprioritize some things. Beyonce is nice, but she ain't the most important thing. Okay. Mr. CKB says facts. Let's not begin to talk about the cost in New York. You're right. I saw an article, and that was a part of what I was going to talk about too. They were talking about $100,000 feels like $36,000 or something like that in New York. And I got annoyed because I saw somebody on Instagram. You know how they had like the little green screen and they be pointing to the articles and stuff. His response, he was like, people are living above their means. No, they not. Stuff costs a lot of money. Ain't nobody living above their means. Like, where do you want me to live? Where I'm supposed to go? The average rent in New York, I think it passed $5,000 last summer. Where I'm supposed to live? You gotta work with what you got. I mean, what you supposed to do? I don't understand that. But back to what I was saying, my point is, while that is true, I want to be the person, the very first person and the loudest person to say, when it comes to black home ownership, black people are not poor. We spend probably the most money in the market of anybody. We spend hundreds of dollars on our hair every month. We spend thousands of dollars on shoes and clothes every year to get fly, you know, getting the newest pair of Jordans, whatever. And that's fine. Like, that's a part of your lifestyle. I'm not saying anything wrong with that at all. You're not gonna ever hear me say that. But the point of the story is, y'all, I want to really like put a pin in this narrative that black people are poor and struggling and we can't do. When in fact, we are doctors and lawyers and engineers and nurses and nurse practitioners. I see them every single day. They come across my desk every single day. They're educators, principals. Like, we got money. It's just a mindset we got to shift to say, okay, if I'm going to have this house, this is what comes along with it, and being okay with that. 200 to $300,000 is low income up. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't do loans up there. I don't do loans in New York. But my Lord, I would. Okay. That's crazy. Yeah, it's gonna be different everywhere you go. Like I said, I remember thinking, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and it was this is a before the pandemic, $60,000, $70,000, you were living. You had it going on. You had you a nice apartment, $1,200 living in South Park. What now that same stuff, it's like double, triple that. So I don't know what low income is anymore. It's sad. It's sad. I hate it. But okay, all right. And then somebody says, last question, because I have to pick up my kid from football. The last question is, what are the main loans that you can get? Um, the main loans that you can get, a conventional loan, which you could put down as little as 3% down or 5% down if you've already purchased a home in the past, like in the last 3 years. An FHA loan, which is 3.5% down. A VA loan is 100% financing if you are a veteran, and some fees are actually waived, depending on if you are disabled or not. If you consider it to be 10% or more disabled, which I could do a whole video about that because it's so funny. Like, more often than not, veterans that are eligible, and I forgot how many millions it is, but the eligible veterans in this country are not even using their VA eligibility. And I guess it's because they don't know, but that's something else I can talk about. I'll talk about that in a stream. But the VA loan, and then USDA, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. USDA has 100% financing. It's primarily for people that are low to moderate income and are living in rural areas. There is an eligibility map that you can go to. I'll include the link below at the conclusion of this, so you can go and see if you live in an area that is eligible for USDA. USDA doesn't always mean sticks and trees. It's based off of the prior census data, and the census is done every 10 years. I live in a neighborhood where I can walk to a grocery store. I live where I can walk to a full outlet mall. And it was considered USDA when I moved in, because I moved in 2017, and the USDA determined it was rural back in 20. What I say, I moved in 2017. So the 2010 census data is what was determining if this was going to be USDA or not. So it's worth looking into and looking at the projections of where that area is to see if it's an area that is up and coming that you might want to move to and get in while you fit in. But the drawback is, and I always tell people, y'all have got to stop thinking that everything that glitter is gold. They're going to put the big letters and say USDA eligible 100% financing. But I just told you how much money you got to make to have a $400,000 mortgage. They might be building $400,000 houses in the USDA, but USDA might be like, no, you make too much. You got to make too much to be able to qualify. It's a lot. It's a lot, and that stuff be by design. Again, that's a whole nother stream for another day. But the point of the story is, I want people to own homes. I want Black people to own homes. We are not poor. You're going to find low, medium, and high income people across the board. But for whatever reason, whenever I get into meetings, whenever I get into conversations, whenever I look at some of the articles, whenever I go to seminars and somebody says Black home ownership, the immediate next thing is, well, they don't have any money. They gotta have some down payment assistance. That is not true. And I want us to get rid of that myth. Down payment assistance is amazing. It is great. It is a boost. It is great. I offer it. But I don't want people thinking that, oh, what, I'm entitled to it, or thinking that, oh, well, Black people can only get a house if they get down payment assistance. That is not true. And it infuriates me when I think about that. I went to a Black college. I went to North Carolina A&T. I graduated with people, like I said, they have gone on to become doctors, lawyers, accountants, psychologists. I mean, they're not even that, and they still own houses. They work at banks. You don't have to have a professional degree to own a home. But again, let me get off my soapbox and go get my kid. I appreciate y'all, kicking it with me for the past hour. I really hate that I couldn't get this technology together, because I really, 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 really wanted to share that information with you. But I'll have the links, and I'll, like I said, try to edit it in the replay. so that you all can see what I'm talking about. If you have questions, please send me your questions, email me, reach out to me. If you are interested in knowing what states that I am licensed for, that information is below as well. I'm happy to talk to you and see what I can do to get you on the pathway to home ownership, because more people can purchase homes than you would like to believe. Just get rid of these cars. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And then I guess I'll see y'all back here next Tuesday for another Mortgage Boss Talk Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Thank you for joining me. Y'all have a great week.